This is the meeting of the North Hudson Public Works Committee. This meeting has been properly noticed. This is the meeting date of 19 April. And roll call, please.
Trustee Standifer?
Here.
Trustee Wecken?
Here.
Trustee Zappa?
Here. And we have full attendance and a quorum is present. Minutes will show that our village engineer and our public works supervisor are also in attendance. First item of business is to review the minutes from our last meeting, which was held on 15 March. Those minutes have been distributed for your prior review. Any additions or corrections to the minutes as drafted? Not Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes from our last meeting on 15 March. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. On last Friday last, the 15th, we did have the bids that were received and opened for the St. Croix Station project, and bid results are favorable, and I'll ask our village engineer to lead the discussion on those bids and any discussion and recommendation. Kevin?
Okay, thank you, Carol. I handed out two different handouts tonight, one of them being a memorandum from us and the other one, the bid tabulation with all the numbers, like Darrell was saying. We had our opening here last Friday, and on the bid tab gives you an idea of the three different contractors that did submit prices. Zappa Brothers, Monarch Paving, and Miller Excavating. There were a total of 7 to 8 different contractors that did pull bids and specifications, but 3 were the only ones that submitted numbers. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And you can see,
What's your observation of that 7 or 8 pulled specs, but we received only 3 bids?
I think once they probably pull those off of our internet, maybe once they got into the plans and specs, was fairly smaller project, probably wasn't a lot of work for the general contractors. And the majority of it's with the paving per se. Maybe with Gary being locally might be a little more conducive for him. That might have played into the picture a little bit too. So, but on the project total, on the bottom, kind of like the base bid, gives you an idea of where their numbers came in. The low submitted by Zappa Brothers of $102,845, up to a range high of $113,701.25, and that's the base bid. And if you look at the bottom, there was 2 alternates that we had quoted also. The base bid had 3 inches of asphalt, and the first alternate was with a 2.5 inch. So basically going from a 3 to a 2.5. What the price difference would be if we did go that route. A little thinner. Instead of going down in 2 lifts, it would go down in 1 lift. And you can see where the prices came out on those for that particular item. Alternate 2 is for the restoration, grass restoration. So many square yards. You can see where those costs came in, right around a little over $3,000 for that work. So we would be looking at, awarding the base bid plus any of the 2 alternates on the bottom for a total project cost.
What's your recommendation with respect to the 2.5 or the 3 inch? It seems to me that it's dollar-wise and pound foolish, if I got that order right, on trying to skinny back the to a 2.5, that we would be looking at certainly a shorter life of the road and more maintenance on it.
Yeah, I think the 3 inches, since it did come in under budget, that's the way the village should proceed with going with the 3 inch for the longevity of the road.
And isn't that standard, what we do here in the village is 3 inches?
Typically, we do, 3 inches of asphalt, yeah.
Any comments, questions from committee members?
No, you just answered mine. I was gonna say the same thing, longevity of the road and just, better base. I mean, I think, go with what we, the original.
Half-inch asphalt, what's that gonna, how much extra base would you have to put on to get the stability?
Probably.
Either way, you're gonna get, it'd cost you more to get the better road, and for $9,000,
Right.
just redoing the plans to redo the project, it'd be foolish not to do it,
Yeah, I'd say about
especially in this climate.
Right. I'd say about 2 inches of base for that
Yeah,
half
so I
inch.
mean, either way, you're,
Yeah. And then we would recommend, as part of the project, that the restoration would be added to it too, for a total price of $106,170 when you add those two items together for Gary's bid.
The bid up above, the total project cost of the 102 is for the 3 inch.
Correct.
The 2.5, the alternate would be a subtraction of the
Correct.
amount indicated.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
So with that, we'd be recommending, awarding the project to Zappa Brothers of the base bid of $102,845 plus the alternate two, adding in the rest.
The restoration.
Yep.
3325.
Yes.
Any additional discussion? And if there is none, is there a committee member prepared to move this recommendation to the board?
I would make a recommendation to move this, per the engineer's recommendation of a 3-inch hot melt asphalt pavement and adding in the restoration at a total of $106,170.
second.
Been moved and seconded to recommend approval of the low bid from Zappa Brothers and to include the restoration for the total bid of $106,170. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that carries unanimously. And this will be recommended then to the full board for the acceptance and the awarding of the bids. Mark, Village Hall service lift recommendation, and I see there is some documentation here from Aerolift.
Yeah. Basically, Aerolift was the one who installed the lift in the Village Hall during the construction. What this is basically is the yearly renewal for the actual inspections and maintenance on the lift. The inspections are required under state and federal codes and everything else, so I recommend the $375 maintenance agreement.
What happens with the inspection report? Is that simply maintained here, or is that sent
No.
to some entity
The-
someplace?
The actual inspection, the initial inspection report goes to the state of Wisconsin, then we get back we keep a copy of it. And basically we get a certificate back from the state saying that it is usable and everything else has been inspected. It has to be posted.
Okay.
So when they do the inspection, do they do any preventative maintenance or PMs or anything like that?
They do any preventive maintenance, that they find anything they find with the lift, at that time they notify me, and that is part of the,
It's part of this cost, or that'd be,
that's
Or
basic,
time and
basic
material?
maintenance and everything else as far as greasing, all that stuff is part of this.
okay,
cost. If they find anything largely wrong with the lift, or if something breaks, that's a separate package.
Right.
And you would probably seen that last year, that was almost $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to stay with, since it's a newer lift, we decided to stay with the basic plan.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the agreement we see with Aerolift for $375 for the coming year.
Is there a second?
second?
Moved by Zappa, second by Wecken, to recommend the awarding of the Annual maintenance and inspection to Aerolift. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is opposed, same sign. That is also carried unanimously. Thank you, Mark. Understand we have a fire hydrant that has been, shall we say, damaged.
Yeah, back on February 20th of this year, we had a hydrant that was hit by a vehicle, down by 230 Monroe Street North, which is basically is the BOH Electronics. What happened is the ballards were removed last summer when they redid their parking lot, and they did not reinstall them around the hydrant. And this winter, when this individual was leaving work, he apparently ran the hydrant over, or backed into it enough where it broke the hydrant off. The hydrant is a 1970 hydrant. The other problems we had, none of those hydrants down there in that area have what called lead valves or gate valves that actually help us control the hydrants better. If something would happen, we can actually shut them down. This one, we were lucky that she just snapped the top off and didn't really turn the hydrant, valve open. So what I am looking at, since it was an older hydrant, we have a hydrant in stock. I do have a price from Zappa's, and what I am gonna do is ask you to table this until I can actually talk with the owner of BOH and with the insurance companies. And actually, I want a little better breakdown from Gary on this bill. But his price that he gave me is basically, it's just under $8,000. And we can actually take 2020 off that if we actually use a hydrant, a 2000 hydrant we have in stock at the garage right now. And the reason I'm doing this is basically, number one, that hydrant, like I said, was an older hydrant. We're experiencing some problems with it. And I would not want to just fix that hydrant. I believe the hydrant should be replaced. And since we do have a hydrant in stock, instead of paying a new hydrant, we could use that hydrant to get it out of stock. It is a 2000. At certain times, if they're not used, they will start kind of drying up and stuff, the seals and stuff like that. So, but the biggest thing, I would like to meet with the owner of BOH again, sit down with him, discuss what the cost of these repairs are going to be. There is some things we're adding in, such as the valve and all that stuff, which was not there
talking about
before.
Putting in a new gate valve, or
Yeah,
there's no
brand new
gate valve there?
There is no gate valve there now.
Oh, okay.
When a new hydrant gets set, there should be a gate valve with it, so.
But it would seem that there's some responsibility to the property owner
Correct.
at the time
Correct.
the work was done, that
Yes.
it was not correctly.
And they know that
Restored.
they should have restored the ballards and stuff like that, so.
Who installed the ballards originally?
The ballards were probably originally installed, same time the hydrants were installed back, and I'm not sure who the contractor was that did that for.
Well, what I'm getting at, that wasn't, but I mean, you don't see ballards around other hydrants in the village.
Well,
They're
you do
all-
only in commercial.
That's what I'm getting at, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what the parameters are there. Is that part of the building code? and
Well, what it is,
Hudson
it's
or
part of
some-
it's part of the Hudson Water Utility spec. Any place
Okay,
that's high
that's what-
volume
that's all I'm
traffic in a
getting at.
commercial or business
Alright.
district is
Then they
required
should-
to have
then
ballards.
there-
Particularly
docu-
if they were there
Yes.
originally.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't, if there's no documentation indicating the need for a ballard, if somebody had put some up there before, that doesn't necessarily mean the next person there is responsible for continuing to put them up, just because somebody else decided to put some up. But since they're part of the Water Utility Commission's recommendation, then there's documentation that this is a standard that we have to meet. So the fact that they took them down indicates some culpability in my mind about it. That was my biggest question.
The only thing is like this, like I said, I have not met with the owner of BOH on this. Just different things going on, and basically that's my fault. I should have, but I will be meeting with him, and what I'm thinking on doing is once we discuss this, and I will take off the price of us installing a new valve, because that is something that was not there now. But we will have to determine a number. That's.
Well, let's move this forward to our next agenda then. Motion to table this until the next meeting of the Public Works Committee would be in order.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to table this item until time specific, which will be the next regularly scheduled meeting of Public Works Committee. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. That item is tabled. Mark, I see you have selected a part-time seasonal employee and are making a recommendation.
Yeah, basically, we received quite a few applications for this position and everything else, and by going through them, we interviewed 5 individuals for the position, and basically what we used is, both myself and then the other 2 members of Public Works were all involved in the interviews. And basically what we came up with was a motion to hire Peter Knepler as the part-time seasonal Public Works employee for the summer of 2011.
I'll move to hire Peter
Okay.
Neffler as a part-time seasonal Public Works employee for the summer of 2011.
Second.
Moved and seconded. You've heard the motion to hire this young man as a part-time seasonal Public Works employee, and I know that he will get his marching orders from Mark, and we'll see him out working his fanny off. Right?
Correct.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. Kevin, your report.
I don't have anything in addition for this month.
Good and crisp and short. Mark?
Only thing I have is, street sweeping. The spring street sweeping is scheduled for the 2nd week in May.
And that's Phillips, right? McPhillips?
McPhillips.
Glad it wasn't for tomorrow.
No. Oh, they won't have to use much water.
Well, if this wind keeps up, there won't be any leaves in our neighborhood. They'll all be down in your neighborhood.
That's all right. We need the
Yours
compost.
came from.
I need the compost, so send them, bring them on down.
And with that, our agenda is completed.
Motion to
And
adjourn.
we are adjourned.